Hello everybody, I'm Rob from DesignPoint, and today I'm going to show you some neat things about SOLIDWORKS. So here on the screen I have a sheet metal part, colored blue just for fun. You can see I can go ahead and flatten it if I wish. See, just a sheet metal part. So what if I told you you can optimize the cost of this? So the way we can do that is we can go to our Evaluate tab, and we actually have this tool built in right into SOLIDWORKS called costing. And when we do that, you'll see it'll open up a window on the task pane, and here we can choose a whole bunch of settings of how we want our sheet metal part to be made. So let's say we want it out of steel, and then it has a couple of classes of steel, so I'm just going to leave it at AISI 304 right now. You could see that it actually has settings for how much the material costs. It'll have the thickness of the material. You can see it matches pretty closely to what I actually have in my model. And you see I can type in the material cost that is available to us. As well as that, we can also put in options for scrap rates. So let's say we just want 2% scrap, and how many parts do we want? Let's say we're fabricating 100 of these. So then when we're done playing around with those settings, we can begin our cost estimation, and we'll let that churn for a moment. And you could see that our initial cost is $11 per part. So what are the things that we can do to bring the cost down? So one thing we can do is we can change the class of our steel. But instead of looking in tables and going through all these suppliers, we can get a pretty good idea of how much we're going to save. Instead of 304 steel, I'm going to change it to plain carbon steel. And you can see it updates the results, and you see in a matter of seconds, I could see that we save 44% just by changing the class of steel. Just one of the great things we can do with SOLIDWORKS. Another great thing we can do is we can perform interference checks. So you can see I have the model of this ukulele here with a very nice black finish. Go ahead and change that just to the tree, and yeah, it looks pretty good just for just by inspecting it. But maybe there are some hidden problems. Let's try our interference detection just to see if we can find it. So we'll hit calculate, and what it'll do is it'll consider all the items in the assembly, and we'll check if any of it interferes from each other. And lo and behold, we do have a couple. You see it highlights that area in red, and if we look, we see we have this kind of tube of interference. That says to me that the holes in the headstock here are a little too small for the tuning pegs. And that seems to be all these interferences right here. So you can see it'll bring the largest interferences first on this list, likely the most important ones. But it'll put all of them. So if we go to the 5th item on this list, we could see that that is a thread of a bolt that is interfering with a hole. I know that's fine because I checked it, and the model has a correct thread information, and so when I sent this to get fabricated, it will be fine. But it'll still bring it to your attention just so you can inspect it. Pretty nice feature from SOLIDWORKS. Another nice thing about SOLIDWORKS is that we have access to the suite of robust simulation tools. And of course, we've all heard of the static study and standard things like that. But I want to show you a special kind of study called the frequency study. And it'll be helpful for this ukulele body because we want to get the best sound out of it. And as such, let's check some of its harmonic modes. So let's go ahead and mesh and run this. And you can see it just takes a second to run. And after we're done, we can see we have a list of the different kinds of modes as well as its resonant frequencies. So there's the first frequency, there's a second, third, fourth, and fifth. And I could keep going for as much as I want. Pretty cool stuff. So I'll show you one more thing today about what makes SOLIDWORKS really nice. So going back to our ukulele assembly, let's say I have this just how I want it, and now I want to share it with my a vendor, a customer, someone who's going to make this for me, or maybe I'm pitching an idea of like, I want to make this for you. Sharing and collaborating is very easy, and one of the tools that we can use is File, Pack and Go. And when we do that, you can see it grabs all of the files involved in this assembly, no matter where they are, and packs them into a very nice zip file, just ready to be sent to your next client. And thank you for joining me. Those are some of the things that make SOLIDWORKS really nice, and I'll catch you next time.